this project started under the previous ownership, so I'm just curious kind of what effect, if any, you know, the transaction had on the project itself.
Well, obviously we're moving forward with it, so it didn't have any negative connection to the transaction, but there's been some really positive things. You know, one of the things that WME IMG own is a training academy, and actually training academies around the world. So not only are they deciding to fund and of course build out this facility here in Las Vegas, but now we have the opportunity to leverage all of the IMG assets around the world, all of their expertise in the college space, in the tennis space, in whatever, you know, area they're involved in. We have the ability to leverage all the learning they've got. So listen, is this going to be specific to MMA? Yes, but there are many things that are common to all sports when it comes to nutrition, training, injury prevention, etc. So the exciting thing is they decided to go forward with the facility, but even better than that, we're going to leverage all the resources they already have in their organization.
You've got incredible services with the athletes. What kind of buy-in are you anticipating? I mean, do you think this is going to be tough to get guys out here, you know, and you know, from other continents and that sort of thing? I mean, what's the anticipated buy-in?
First of all, we did a lot of research talking to the athletes, and the answer is unequivocally this is going to be a huge thing for athletes. And I think, you know, one of the concerns we've got is, okay, how do we schedule everybody in here? How do we make sure that the, you know, camps are here at times they want to be here? The other thing is, this is not just about bringing in athletes. We want to bring in the athletes and their training teams so they can learn the latest and greatest techniques and take those back to Florida or Brazil or wherever they're from and infect everybody with these positive influences and ideas. So I think the biggest challenge for us is going to be figuring out scheduling and making sure we can get everybody through here on timetables that make sense for them.
Yeah, obviously.
A question about, what have the experts told you about where the evolution of the sport is in terms of, compared to where, if you say NFL and NBA is at 100% of their evolution, where is MMA, and how quickly do you think this facility could advance that?
You know, I don't have an exact percentage for you right now, but I can tell you, you know, we've looked at a lot of what a lot of other sports have done towards really training in a safer manner. I mean, you guys know that cover the sport, injuries happen a lot in training. So how do you figure out ways to make sure performance is being elevated but minimizing training? You're seeing it in football right now. I don't know if you guys follow what's happening at Dartmouth College, but Dartmouth College now, if you play football at Dartmouth College, you will never tackle one of your teammates. You'll only tackle a tackling dummy. Tackling is only for games. So that mindset, that philosophy is what we're trying to infuse into this training facility and trying to figure out new and better training techniques that, as I said, are not going to expose athletes to injury but are going to increase their performance. So percentage-wise, where are we? I don't know if we're 15 or 20 or 30%. I know we got a lot of room to get better. And you know, as James mentioned and Forrest mentioned during the presentation, this is not just a static facility. We're going to provide you with resources. This is going to be a research facility where we're going to get smarter and get better, and we're going to learn how to get smarter and better when it comes to training techniques. So I think, you know, we've got a long way to go. This facility, hopefully, in a few years, is going to get us to the level where we're up to where the NBA or the NFL is right now.
Just to follow up on that, did WME IMG give you any data on other sports of, like, you know, what they saw in terms of, you know, percentage of injury reduction and recovery time and that type of thing?
They've certainly given us some information. You know, they are you know, we're currently collaborating with them on a variety of projects, and we're going to be able to use data that they've gotten from their IMG academies around the United States. So we're excited about doing that. We also are hopeful that we're going to continue to be able to collaborate with Man City and some of the other clubs that we worked with in developing this facility. So a lot more to come when it comes to analyzing this data, but the first thing we need to do is get some data ourselves, so we've got sort of a baseline to take a look at.
Lawrence, you talked about the inspiration, you talked about being at Manchester City a lot. What other places did you go to look at for inspiration for this facility?
Well, we also went to all the IMG academies and toured all their facilities. Forrest and James really did looked at a bunch of other facilities around the country. You should probably talk to them about that. But we were able to, as I said, work with some consultants that had literally done, you know, 20 or 30 of these facilities for NFL, for Major League Baseball, for Premier League soccer teams, and so Olympic facilities around the world. So we were able to leverage all of that. In addition, Man City had done like a 5-year study. I mean, they went everywhere. They went to every facility, and they literally handed over all of their research and all of the stuff that they had learned to us. So it was a combination of us visiting some of the facilities, but also leveraging the research and the work that both our consultants and Man City had done.
Obviously, we're seeing the hockey team coming, big buzz about the NFL coming. We've seen so many athletes choose to do MMA-style training. Do you anticipate seeing them coming to the Performance Center in the future?
You know, I do. I mean, right now, we're going to be focusing on providing a facility for our athletes, but you hit the nail on the head. I mean, this is one of the great sports towns anywhere in the world now, and you've got all these athletes from all different disciplines from all over the world, either living here, you know, maybe with the hockey team, they're going to be actually, performing here. With the NFL, they may be having games here, etc. So I think there's going to be tremendous opportunities for cross collaboration. We're already doing that stuff right now. We've done it with the Detroit Pistons. We've done it with other teams. I think we're going to see more and more of that. But I also see, professional athletes from all disciplines, when they see this facility and see what's going on here, they're going to want to be here too. So right now, it's just for the MMA athletes and for the UFC athletes, but I can certainly envision a time where we're going to do some cross training with other athletes from other sports.
Mr. Epstein, obviously a great facility. It comes at a great cost, and nothing is for free. What will be the cost to the fighters? Is there going to be like a fighter's insurance, or how is that cost?
There's not going to be any cost to the athletes. This is going to be available to our athletes as a resource and to their training teams as a resource. In addition, we're also going to provide this as a resource to all of our retired athletes. So it's something that, as I said, we feel is important to the future of the sport. We think it's important to our retired athletes so they can have a place to come and work out if they choose. But at the end of the day, what I was talking to Kevin about, which is this concept of figuring out a way to advance training techniques, prevent injuries, increase performance, the dividends are going to be huge. So we spent a lot of money on this facility, spent a lot of time and effort. If this thing works out even close to the way we believe it's going to be the greatest investment we ever made.
Will this be available for rehabilitation after fights?
Absolutely. It's going to be available for rehabilitation after fights, after an injury, if you need to do your rehab, you've had a knee injury, for example, and you need to do physical therapy. This is going to be available to all of our athletes for that. So the answer is absolutely yes. It's going to be focused on performance, injury prevention, and of course recovery.
Can you cite a facility that comes close to what you're doing here? I mean, you talked about doing research all over, but is there like one in particular that we can look at and go, there's a precedent for what they're doing here?
Listen, I think Man City obviously is a huge inspiration for us. I think some of the NFL facilities that we saw were, they're massive. They're much different focus, a lot of heavyweight training and things like that. Listen, our goal was to create an MMA specific facility. So there's nothing like this anywhere in the world when it comes to the MMA space. And so we were looking at, okay, what are you doing for recovery? What are you doing for training in all these other areas? But then we had this mindset of how do we make sure we create best in class for the MMA athlete first? Because that's what this is about. It's not about trying to create something like the Patriots have or something like Man City has. It's trying to create something that is specifically designed for the MMA athlete.
There is no boxing.